Alright guys, welcome back to part 3 of the Python Hangman series. So, as we recall in the last few parts, we created two functions. One function was to generate a random word for the user to guess, and our second function was if the user guessed the word correctly. So now, let's move on and finish this great Hangman game. So, the goal of this part is to create another function, which is the purpose of that function is going to structure the words, where they would be either represented as underscores, which means the letter has not been guessed yet, or the actual letter in the word, which means the user guessed that letter. So to make sense of that, let's create another function. Let me name it print letters. So this is basically how it's going to print it out when you run it. Initially, is going to be represented as all underscores. And so this function will be having two parameters. One, the word, which is the random word, and two is the letters that we guessed already. So let's move on and let's create another list. Empty list. This list is basically going to be the list of correct guesses. So let's basically do iterate through the word. So let's do for letters in word. And if we already guessed that letter that is in the word, so if that letter current letter is in the letters guessed, then we're gonna append that letter to this empty guesses list. So let's do guesses dot append and then letters. So essentially this append just adds this letter to the guesses list. So the purpose of that list is to store the letters that have been correctly guessed. And after that, now we're gonna display the text. So which is gonna be underscores over the letters. So I'm gonna create empty string. And now let's iterate through the word again. So for letters and words is going to go through each of these letters. And if that letter is in the list of correct letters that we guessed already, so if letters is in that list of correct guesses, then we're going to display, we're going to we're going to basically add to the string, empty string, that specific letter that we guessed correctly. So basically, initially it's an empty string. And now we're going to iterate through this word and figure out is what the user guessed as the letter correct? And if it is correct, then we're going to replace that with the correct letter that we already guessed. And otherwise, if we haven't guessed it correctly, or else, then it's just going to display as an underscore, which means we have not guessed that letter. So simply just leave it plus equals this. So that's going to be basically uh, this is basically the letters is the correct letter that we already guessed. Underscore is that we didn't guess the letter already. So after all of that, and now we just simply need to do is return display. So that should be all for this function. Now we'll use all of these functions in our main hangman function later on. But this is basically all that we need to do in order to actually display the word either as underscores, and once the user guesses more letters, it should hopefully replace those underscores with the actual letter. So that's all for this part. See you on the next part.